Hey, this is Mr. Moloff, lesson 3-3, function notation. So if you look at the first couple pages, they have to do with graphing function notation. And we're not there yet. We'll do that at a later time. So we're going to skip right to the practice questions. So functions look a little more complicated than what they really are. When it says here, the way we would say that is f of x, and that's really the same thing as y. So instead of writing f of x equals, another way to rewrite that is y equals. And we're pretty much not changing anything else after that. So it's just a normal problem. Kind of pay attention to what it's giving you in the problem. So here it says evaluate the function when x equals these three things. So we're going to have three different answers for these first six. And then there's going to be something that's like the complete opposite once we get to question 8. So make sure you're reading the directions when you do the homework, because you're going to have these kind of problems too. So let's look at number 1. So I'm going to plug in -4 for x. So I have f of x equals -x. So there's my negative, and then I have a -4. So if I have a -4, that really turns into a +4. So 4 plus 4 is 8. And then if I do the second one, -x, so really like a -0, which doesn't exist. So -0 plus 4 is 4. And then lastly, I'm going to plug in that 2. So -2 plus 4 is a +2. So then my three answers, once I plug in -4, 0, and 2, are 8, 4, and 2. All right, kind of the same thing here. If I'm going to type in 5x, and I'm going to put in these three numbers, a -4, a 0, and a 2. So then what would my three answers be? So I have a 5 times a -4. I'm just going to write out the problems first. 5 times a 0, and 5 times a 2. Okay, so 5 times a -4 is a -20. 5 times 0 is 0. And 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, so for all 6 of these problems, we're just going to be plugging in those three numbers. Let's do one that's a little more complicated. Let's look at number 6 here. So let's simplify here first. So we have a -2 minus 2x plus 7. So since we have two numbers here, I'm going to combine those first. So I'm really going to end up with -2x plus 5. And then I'm going to write in all these x's that it wants me to solve for. So -2 times -4 plus 5. -2 times 0 plus 5. -2 times 2 plus 5. So -2 times -4 is a +8, and 8 plus 5 is 13. -2 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 5 is 5. And then -2 times +2 is -4. -4 plus 5 is 1. Okay, so here it gave us three numbers for x, and I just went in and plugged them in. Next one, it wants us to actually write something here. So let n of t be the number of DVDs you earn after t trips to the video store. Explain the meaning of each statement. Okay, so remember, t is the times I went to the video store. So this one says I went, number of times is 0. So if I went to the video store 0 times and I have 8 DVDs, that just means after 0 trips to the DVD store, you have 8 DVDs. How did you get those DVDs? I don't know, Christmas, birthdays, things like that. Okay, next one, number of times you went is 3. So now after 3 trips to the DVD store, you now have 14 DVDs. Okay, so kind of just writing the statement there. This one gets kind of trickier because now we have a greater than or less than. Okay, so after 5 trips to the DVD store, you're going to have a greater number of DVDs than after 3 trips, which kind of makes sense. If you go to the store more often, you're probably going to buy more stuff. So if you go there more often, then you're going to end up with more stuff. So after 5 trips, you have more DVDs. More DVDs than 3 trips. Okay, so you might have some conditional statements like that that ask you to write it. So again, make sure you're reading the directions there. So it says N of T be the number of DVDs you have in your collection after T trips. So after 0 trips, after 3 trips, after 5 trips, after 3 trips, after 7 trips, after 2 trips, and so on, whichever it is. Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11. These are the ones that are the complete opposite now of the first one. So it kind of looks the same where it kind of gives us something there, but notice now how it says B of X equals. So I'm not going to put this negative 20 where X is. I'm going to put it where B of X is. So I'm going to put negative 20 equals negative 3X plus 1. And the directions say, find the value of X. So kind of the opposite of the first couple of problems we did, where it gave us X and we were finding F of X. It gave us X, we were finding G of X. It gave us X and we were finding U of X. Now, it's giving us B of X and we're finding X. And so this is just like we did in chapter 1. I'm going to solve for X. So I have a plus 1. So I'm going to minus 1. So that gives me negative 21 equals negative 3X. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. So you end up with, negative 3. So you end up with 7 equals X. Okay, let's do one of these fraction ones down here. So now it says W of X equals negative 18. So I have negative 18 equals 5/6 X minus 3. So that negative 18 goes over here where the W of X is. So I'm going to add 3 to each side, add 3. I end up with negative 15 equals 5/6 X. So I need to get rid of that 5/6. So I'm going to divide by a 5/6. Divide by a 5/6. And negative 15 divided by 5/6 is negative 18. So that's going to be what my X is. Okay, so make sure we see the difference between 8, 9, 10, 11 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, one is giving us the X and we're solving for F of X or whatever. And the other one is giving us F of X and then we're solving for X. All right, here we got some graphing ones and they gave us a table. So that's nice of them. Otherwise it'd be a little tougher to graph it without a table. So kind of the same thing that we did on those first couple problems. They give us an equation and we got to plug in the numbers and see where the points end up. So I have 1/2 X minus 2. And so if X is negative 4, so half of negative 4 is negative 2. And negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. Half of 0 is 0. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. And we kind of see a pattern kind of forming here. Half of 2 is 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And then half times 4 is 2. And 2 minus 2 is 0. So now if I graph these dots here, so negative 4 gives me a dot there. Negative 2, negative 3 gives me a dot there. 0, negative 2 gives me a dot there. 2, negative 1, and 4, 0. So right now we're doing linear algebra. So make sure everything you get on this section is a straight line. If you get something that's not a straight line, then you must have made a mistake somewhere. All right, let's look at this one. So 1 minus 2x, and it tells us that x is going to be negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, and 4 plus 1 is 5. So some of you that need to write it out, so I'm just putting that negative 2 where the x is. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 4 times 1 is 5. This one might be a little tougher to do in your head because you got the negative. So same thing if we look at the next one. 1 minus 2x, and this time x is negative 1. So negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 times 0 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And then 2 times 2 is 4. 1 minus 4 is -3. And again, we kind of see a pattern here, kind of like here. -4, -3, -2, -1, 0. And then the pattern here, 5, 3, 1, -1, -3. Okay, so if I graph these, -2, +5, -1, +3, 0, 1, 1, -1, then 2, -3. So I'm going to get my straight line there. Here, the function b of m is 50m plus 150 represents the balance in dollars after m months. The table shows your balance in your friend's savings account. Who has the better savings plan? All right, so the table shows the balance in your friend's account. So this is your friend's account. And this one's yours. And we're going to figure out who has the better savings plan. So let's just look at the months that we can compare here. So after 2 months, so 50 times 2 is 100. 100 plus 150 is 250. Ooh, so after 2 months, looks like your friend has the better savings account. Okay, let's look at 4 months. So now let's put a 4 in there. 50 times 4 is 200. 200 plus 150 looks like it's going to be 350 there. And after 4 months, your friend has 410. Uh-oh. So they still got a better count than you. Okay. Now let's look after 6 months. So 50 times 6 is 300. 300 times 150 is 450. Okay. So looks like after 6 months, your friend still has a better savings account. But if I notice here, the gap is getting smaller and smaller. I had 250, my friend had 330. He had 80 more than me. I had 350, my friend had 410. They had 60 more than me. I had 450, they had 490. They had 40 more than me. So let me continue this and see what happens after a year and see if we can catch up. Or maybe even pass them. Okay, so this one looks like it's going up 80. So they're going to be at 570, 650, and 730 at the end of the year. I'm going to fast forward here and do this. So 50 times 12 is 600. 600 plus 150 is going to be $750. So it looks like after 1 year, your friend has 730, but you have 750. So if you're looking for an account for less than a year, let's do the 10 months and let's see who's winning then. So 10 times 50 is 500. Oh, looks like we're tied after 10 months. 8 times 50 is 400. We're at 550. So if you're looking for a savings account for 8 months or less, then your friend has the better deal. But if you're looking for something a little longer, like 12 months or 14 months or anything past that, it looks like your saving account is better. After 10 months, you're both at 650, so it doesn't really matter which one you choose. And then anything less than 10 months, your friend's getting the better deal. But anything more than 10 months, you're getting the better deal. So something to kind of think about, how long is that money going to be in the savings account for?